I am Sanatan Reveals. I mostly talk about unknown facts of ancient India and Sanatan Dharma. I didn't intend to make this video, but after living in someone's head for 3 long months, that too rent-free, it is time to pay him. And yes, as he himself has said, that if I want to use his name and make some views, I can do that. And who doesn't like views? Also, as my friend said, with very fine articulation.
Because my intention is not to start drama of any kind.
But before continuing, for those who are new here, a little recap would suffice. So, once upon a time, while trying to debunk another creator named Rishika and Ankit, my brother Pranav made some absurd claims. I made a video on that and I just tried to bring the fact hidden by him for some unknown reasons to light. Now to the present day. So I was busy enjoying my luxurious life after creating that video on Science is Dope when I received a comment by his follower that Science is Dope has roasted me. Scared to death, I started watching, waiting for him to debunk my arguments or at least answer my questions, at least acknowledge that everyone can make mistakes. But I waited and waited and it never came around. At around 4 minutes into the video, I was made aware by Pranav that I have been living in his head rent-free for 3 months. Now why would a scientist, a rationalist, atheist, dopist, influencer bother mentioning someone and engage in name-calling when that someone has 10 times lesser audience? Where did I come along in this video against Abhijeet Chawda? Hold on, we need to revisit the video. Pranav started with aliens and Area 51 topics just to create a ground for his consensus comment and started playing victim right away, making a false claim that we have a consensus that Aryans migrated to India. Now please note the image on the screen. He is showing the picture of a cavalry with all sorts of weapons while he talks about Aryan migration. Either Pranav has no idea of the difference between Aryan invasion theory and Aryan migration theory, or he does, but he does not want his audience to know. In either case, it reflects poorly on him. In his alacrity to respond to Abhijeet, Pranav couldn't care enough to educate himself before forming an opinion. Let me inform you, dear Pranav, there has never been a consensus regarding the Aryan invasion, even before excavations provided evidence of ancient civilizations in the Indus Valley itself. A very poor example to start with. Dear bro, take your own advice and please stop talking on topics you have no idea about. Oh, for example, the foremost promulgator of Aryan invasion theory was none other than Frederick Max Muller, not an archaeologist, genetic scientist, historian, but simply a linguist, that too deployed at a very young age by East India Company. That was the guy who out of poverty competed for Borden professorship which aimed to establish Christianity in India. And lol, even Max Muller at one point, as per his book Biographies of Words and the Homes of the Aryas, said this: by Aryan, I did not mean any people of flesh and bone, nor hair nor skull. When I speak of them, I mean simply those who speak an Aryan language. I say that even the blackest Hindu represent an earlier stage of Aryans. Moreover, in his book Physical Religion, his own words are, no one can tell on earth whether Vedas are 1500, 3000, 4000 years old. For more details on these issues, you can watch my video on Max Muller and Borden professorship and even Aryan invasion theory. Links in the description. Even now, can anyone tell me where is the consensus for AIT and AMT among archaeologists, historians and genetic scientists? Okay, now let's get back to the guy who has carried me in his mind for so long. After spitting that shitty thumbnail game, Pranav starts with his not so subtle McCarthy smear. And I am sorry to break it to you, Pranav, but seriously, is this the best you could do after 3 months? I mean, you couldn't simply acknowledge that you offered half-baked knowledge about predatory journals and that blog that is openaccessjournal.com. In that case, I will leave it up to your audience to think about where they stand in this imbroglio created by their favorite top scientist. Now let's examine the consensus about Aryan invasion theory, or should I say Aryan migration theory. Anyways, it doesn't matter because Pranav does not have any idea about either of them. Let us see what experts of the associated field say, and you yourself will see if there was or is any consensus for AIT or AMT. And hold your horses before you say I am appealing to authority. Watch till end. Edwin Bryant, USA-based Indologist, who probably knows more than me and my brother Pranav, states this. In addition to suspicion of European biases and motives in the initial construction of Indo-European history and to the complete lack of consensus, mark the word complete lack of consensus among scholars as to the location of the homeland of the original Indo-European speakers, much of the evidence associated with the Indo-Aryans, whether philological, linguist or archaeological, can prove to be extremely malleable. Evolutionary biologist and genetic scientist Dr. Julian Huxley, in his work We Europeans, A Survey of Racial Problems, has a peculiar statement. Max Muller threw another apple of discord. He introduced a proposition which is demonstrably false, that is Aryan race. In England and America, the phrase Aryan race has ceased to be used by writers with scientific knowledge, though it appears in political and propagandist literature. Dr. B.B. Lal, Indian archaeologist, and for a long time he remained Director General of Indian Archaeological Survey, has debunked Aryan invasion multiple times. For instance, you can read The Homeland of the Aryans, Evidence of Rigvedic Flora and Fauna and Archaeology. Stephen Oppenheimer, geneticist whose work I am referring to has been uploaded by John Terrell, Director of Anthropology, the Field Museum, Chicago, and Martin Richards, researcher in human evolutionary genetics, and Andrew Sherratt, Professor of Archaeology, University of Oxford. He quotes many studies and states in Out of Eden that for him and for Thomas Kivslid, who himself is Estonian population geneticist, for both of them, South Asia is logically the ultimate origin of M17 genetic marker and his ancestors, and its maximum diversity is in Pakistan, India, and eastern Iran. The M17 is much more diverse in India, which undermines any theory of M17 as a marker of a male Aryan invasion of India. The age of this line in India is as much as 36,000 years, but in Europe it is 23,000. It suggests that M17 could have found its way initially from India or Pakistan through Kashmir, then via Central Asia and Russia, before finally coming to Europe. My question remains the same. Can anyone tell me which consensus among present-day archaeologists, historians, genetic scientists Pranav is referring to? And for those who really want to explore things, please read Dr. Neeraj Rai's paper published in Cell. Irony comes in its grave while you make the same fallacy of appealing to authority. Again, at 11 minutes 15 seconds, Pranav makes another reductio ad absurdum fallacy by putting a picture of Nityanand and Rambal and then goes on to claim that mystics and sannyasis are scammers. Tell me, do these people look like scammers to you? At this point, it wouldn't be wrong to say that Pranav comes off as dishonest and invective. He is neither serious regarding the topic nor honest as a content creator. Who are you trying to scam here, Pranav? Pranav falsely tries to impose his ignorance of meditation and Rishi Parampara on 20-something youngsters. It only shows how little he knows of Rishis and meditations, albeit he acknowledges making videos on Bodhayan etc., but probably only after white master's validation. Moving ahead, Pranav again makes an overweening claim that Agastya Samhita is fairly modern. And before we discuss this, let me tell you, I am not trying to establish authenticity of the Agastya Samhita. That is the work of Sanskrit and linguistic scholars. But Pranav straight away says it is fairly modern. Now I thought that to back up his claim, he would give us any research or maybe some scholarly work, but alas, I was wrong again. What would I know? Maybe this is what he does with his audience. 20 minutes into the clip and he says he has no means to confirm or deny Agastya Samhita's authenticity.
Unfortunately, I can't prove it's fake.
And the major argument he has against it is it's Sanskrit, which again he is not a scholar of. He says they are all written in very modern Sanskrit.
Written in very modern Sanskrit.
Hey Pranav, are you a Sanskrit scholar too, apart from being dopist, scientist, atheist, rationalist, thisist and thatist? Oh sorry, he actually got the Sanskrit verse translated by his friend who we don't know, who probably has a long mustache that is as white as his skin. Is he an expert or something? Anyways, maybe Pranav is right about Agastya Samhita, but then again, he isn't an expert in Sanskrit. I will just say let the scholars do their work and they will tell us what's right and what's wrong. As my friend himself says,
unfortunately, I can't prove it's fake.
And I also admit I can't prove its authenticity. So we both, all should have patience for now. The so-called modern Sanskrit itself is again thousands of years old, which again makes his claim inconclusive and false. And regarding wishful thinking of going against consensus and being right, the entire scientific development rests on major events where consensus was wrong and some handful intellectuals who were against consensus made a breakthrough, like Heisenberg uncertainty principle, geocentric to heliocentric model of solar system, miasmatic theory to germ theory of disease, immovable continents to plate tectonics, static universe to expanding universe. In fact, it's more times than you could think. Now coming to the conclusion, anyone can make mistakes. Even I do make mistakes, and Pranav knowingly or unknowingly made a mistake in that video, which I brought in light initially, but instead of acknowledging it, all he did was a cheap thumbnail work, and now you have a 22 minutes long video which could have ended in 4 minutes like this. Abhijeet Chawda has handled some questions rationally, but I disagree with some of his points. Here are the points I disagree with for so and so reason. But you wasted the time of your audience by dragging it for 22 minutes and bringing me in there, which is such a ridiculous and lame tactic. Now Pranav is left with two options. Either accept his mistake or he may try to strawman my arguments using some of my videos. I don't have high hopes from him anymore. Dear brother, please, you are better than this. I say it again, I still have no hatred towards Pranav. Even I agree with some of his points, and for my audience, truth always triumphs. Jai Shri Hari.